Good evening and welcome to the programme. I'm Victoria Hollins. First tonight, doctors at one of London's leading trauma centres say they believe youth work based inside their hospital is helping break the cycle of knife violence. Medics at King's College say they often treat the same young people repeatedly and each time with increasingly serious injuries. But they say having youth workers able to intervene early means they're less likely to return. It's a scheme that's been given more funding from City Hall. Here's our Home Affairs correspondent, Sonia Jessup.
They do their best to save lives here, but London's medics are on the front line of knife violence. Teenagers brought in close to bleeding to death. Saving their life doesn't mean they're safe.
We realise that actually just stitching up their wounds isn't enough. When you start talking to these young people, their story, their lives, they're in need of more support than just having their wounds closed. They may not feel safe at home. They may not still be included in school or training.
18-year-old Sean, not his real name, was stabbed on his doorstep 2 months ago.
My sister's there trying to stop the bleeding and stuff and trying to find where I'm bleeding out from. I've blacked out and I've woken up and I was just in a stretcher.
Rushed to hospital, a couple of days later he was introduced to youth workers, a team based inside the hospital.
Obviously at first I didn't want to open up. They'll talk to me like we're friends. They'll make it seem like it's a safe space for me to talk to them.
We'll help fill in the gaps. So a lot of young people do require support with housing after the incidents because they've been attacked on their doorstep or they no longer feel safe in their area.
Today, the Mayor announced new funding, nearly £8 million from City Hall and London's Violence Reduction Unit to keep youth workers in 4 major trauma centres and 8 A&Es for the next 3 years. Last year, a record 30 teenagers lost their lives to violence. This year, youth homicide has fallen, but 10 teenagers have been killed. Doctors say many who survive will be back repeatedly with increasingly serious injuries.
People might ask then, is it actually working then?
Well, the bad news is 70% of those arrested for homicide, 70% have themselves been the victims of crime. Because of this youth work, we're reducing the figures. So, for example, more than half of those who meet a youth worker at Retford are still seeing them more than 2 years later. Many of them are signposted, so they no longer require a youth worker because they've got a job. They moved housing.
We oftentimes find that the ones who come back maybe have declined to be involved with Red Thread before because they didn't feel that they needed it. But then when they're more seriously injured, they may feel that actually the time is right now.
Sean's been helped find new housing, a different part of London, a fresh start.
Has that made you feel safer?
Yeah, a lot safer. They made me see that, there's other routes in life. Even then, they talked to me about work and what I wanted to do in the future and all sorts.
Both medics and youth workers know it won't be easy, but working together, they say, can make a difference. Sonia Jessup, BBC London.